Slasher Sunday. So my buddy David said that he was going to watch Dark Night of the Scarecrow tonight. And I was like, have I seen this movie? I couldn't remember. I knew the cover. I've heard a million people talk about it. And he pointed out to me that I said I had seen it. And I was like, all right. So I went and I watched like a trailer. And I was like, maybe? So I sat down and I watched it. And I had seen it, but man, I just barely remember this damn thing at all. Now, this is on YouTube. And the transfer on YouTube is actually excellent, weirdly. A lot of the times when you watch shit on YouTube, you're sacrificing quality for the free price tag. But not this time. Alright, so Dark Knight of the Scarecrow starring, well, I shouldn't say starring Larry Drake, since he's not in the movie all that much. But seeing Larry Drake, or aka Dr. Giggles or Durant from the Darkman films, was really cool here. And the opening really reminded me of Leprechaun. Of course, the kid hanging out with the simpleton. Or you could go Of Mice and Men, but it reminded me more of Leprechaun. They're even out in the field picking flowers, almost like when they're picking 4-leaf clovers out of the garden. So that definitely felt like that for me. And then we also had some other familiar faces. Lane Smith being the other one, who I know from My Cousin Vinny. I know from the Mighty Ducks. And I know when I see him, the first thing I think about pretty much instantly is Son-in-Law. I've seen Son-in-Law way too many times. I've talked about Pauly Shore on this channel before. I was a big Pauly Shore fan growing up. Biodome, Son-in-Law, Encino Man, In the Army Now, whatever. Biodome probably being the one I watched the most, but Son-in-Law being a close second. So when I see him, I'm immediately going to think of that. Most of the people in this movie are now dead, which of course is a shame. But this is 1981. I thought that this was older than that, but no. On IMDb, what I saw was 81. I think I'm thinking of Scarecrows or Night of the Scare. No, maybe Night of the Scarecrow. Something's like 72. Some other movie is 72. I swear. But yeah, so we've got Bubba, and he is mentally handicapped, and he's hanging out with this little girl, and she talks him into going to this person's house, yard area, and she goes in the backyard, and he doesn't, because he's like, no, I'm gonna get in trouble. And so she goes in to look at like the gnomes or whatever the hell, and she gets attacked by a dog. And Bubba busts right through that gate like a superhero, grabs her, and ends up saving her life. But, of course, there are people in town who already have it out for Bubba. Our main dickhead here, the postman, who's always delivering ass whoopings and fear all around town, I guess. I don't know. I've never seen a movie with such an aggressive, tough guy postman, but this one's got it. And so they kind of already have it out for him when the movie starts. They want to they want to find him doing something. And this gives them that push that they need to go out and confront him. Now, the mom is like sticking up for him and is trying to hide him. Now, he ran out of the house and decided to go dress up in a scarecrow costume for some fucking reason. I mean, he's mentally handicapped. He's not really the brightest bulb, but stay in the house where your mom is there to protect you. Maybe don't run out and pretend to be a scarecrow. What a weird decision. I mean, it fits the film, right? I did like the movie. It did drag in places for sure. But I think this is definitely a nostalgia one for people. And the atmosphere can be pretty good at times. I think the atmosphere is really great after they kill Bubba and he's hanging there. and the wind is like blowing right before the scene ends and cuts. I just, that was cool. That was super cool. Or when Lane Smith's character sees him out in the field and you just kind of get this close up, or the look in his eyes, which like he's, the dude goes up to him and looks at him like, is someone in there? And he sees his eyes, and his eyes are so sad, but it's also so scary. And I would have liked to have seen more of the Scarecrow actually stalking them, but that's not the way they went with this. They went more supernatural in the sense of like invisible supernatural stuff, like a tractor going on its own, or a freaking silo filling up with grain, or a wood chipper or whatever the hell that thing is, turning on by itself, and the guy falls into it. So it's like a supernatural slasher, I suppose, but we do get the Scarecrow at the end, and he moves for the girl, which I guess his spirit can just manipulate objects, and in that moment he decides to take on the physical body of the Scarecrow just to kind of give that little girl a flower. But I think this movie would have been cooler for sure had we seen the Scarecrow out attacking these guys. But we get more freaking Scarecrow action in the Tale of the Silent Servant, the Are You Afraid of the Dark episode. So I think that Dark Knight of the Scarecrow needs a little bit more Scarecrow in the Dark Knight, not the Dark Knight with Heath Ledger, obviously. But yeah, I just, more Scarecrow for sure. More cowbell, more Scarecrow. And let's see. They plant a pitchfork on the guy when he's hung up on there. I don't know if he's just standing there or if he's hung himself up there, but whatever it is. It goes to the court case where the lawyers are very aggressively yelling at each other and throwing evidence on the ground. That was ridiculous. Movies always got to make that shit look so out of control. And the judge is like, I have not a single shred of evidence. Let's see, you have like 6 bullets in him from 4 different guns that are being fired from the 4 fucking guys that are sitting in front of you. And the guy proved like, hey, look, he just had a pitchfork. I get it. Like, the self-defense thing is their case. But it's just funny to me. It's like, no evidence. I'm like, there's evidence. You just don't want to see it because, this is a small podunk town. They should have hired my cousin Vinny. So they get off, and you think, because, okay, the scene where they kill him, and then they get the call on the radio, and they're like, oh, it's the damnedest thing. He saved her life, It looks like an oh no, like we fucked up. But then the court case, and then they win it, and then they're celebrating, and they're going out, and they're drinking, and they're having a good time. And it's in that moment, you're just like, die. Just die. I want you all dead. Like, you have no remorse. You don't care at all. And of course, they all end up dying. But you just, yeah. You think maybe there's a small chance that they're going to care. No. Nope. What a bunch of assholes. I mean, awful, dreadful human beings. It's horrible. And then, let's see. Yeah, when they're at the bar, they're like talking shit about it too. Despicable people. And the little girl not knowing Bubba is dead is very suspect to me. That doesn't make any sense. This is a small town. The court case is already over, and she doesn't know? Come on, there's no way in a town like that. I'm sorry. Her injuries weren't even that bad. No one told her in the entire town, not her parents, not anybody. Bullshit. Bullshit. And where was this girl's parents, anyways? But yeah, bullshit. No fucking way. And I thought that they were, and when this opened and she was like trying to give him a kiss and all that, I thought that they were gonna try to like kill him for pedophilia because she says that she kissed him, and they're gonna, what the fuck happened? You know. But I like this better. I like that they find out the truth, and I also like that they don't like hide the body. They actually just like go to the cops and are like, we accidentally killed the guy like in self-defense. You know, oops. So that's a little change right there for sure. And I like that every time one of the guys dies, the Scarecrow appears on his property beforehand. Although the Scarecrow doesn't have to kill one of them because the postman takes it upon himself to kill that guy for whatever reason. This guy is just an idiot. The guy who kills him. They're both idiots. I mean, they're all idiots, but it just seems so harsh. Like, what? He's your only ally. He's the only one that like knows what happens. But I guess that's it, right? He doesn't want him blabbing, and he's like too weak, and he doesn't trust him anymore, and he's got to get rid of him because he's sick of hearing his crying and whatever it is. It's like, this guy is evil. This guy is straight up evil. So it's funny, movies like this is a revenge tale. You know, the villain of the movie is not what you may think when you go to watch this. It's like, oh, the Scarecrow's the villain. No, it's not. No, it's not at all. He never harms. And this is the kind of revenge film that I like. I don't like when, you know, the killer goes out and kills innocents when they're looking for revenge. It's like, no, just stick to who you are there for, unless somebody gets in your way and is like trying to protect them, you know, then maybe. But just somebody random, no. And then, but yeah, every time like he appears in the person's yard before their demise, so he's like marking his territory, and it's like, I'm coming for you later, and one at a time. I think that's great. That's great stuff for sure. The guy falls in the, it's a wood chipper, isn't it? When I think of wood chipper deaths, I know a lot of people would think Fargo, but I always think of Silent Night, the Silent Night, Deadly Night remake or reboot or whatever the hell you want to call it. I'd call it Part 6. That real attractive model girl getting shoved into it like feet first, and it's just gnarly. Like, it's the worst. So feet first, you want to go head first into the wood chipper for sure. Just to be ground up slowly like that from the feet. Woof. I don't think you stay conscious very long. Then our postman goes and confronts the kid and threatens the mom to death. She just has a heart attack or whatever happens to her, and then he blows her house up to cover it up. This guy is seriously something else. And then they freak out thinking, the two that are left, they think, he's come back from the grave, so they go to dig him up. And then, of course, as always, it's a perfectly dug, perfectly rectangled grave. It's always like that in movies. The walls are like almost smooth. It's perfectly rectangled. They get right down to the coffin itself, and the whole thing has been cleared off. The head with the shovel hit the guy's hat, sticks to the shovel. I thought that was pretty funny. I don't know if that's intentional comedy, but if it's not, then it landed as an unintentional comedy. And when he gets chased by the tractor at the end, it's one of those things where I'm always like, how hard is it to outmaneuver a tractor in a cornfield? Like, those things have no, turning radius. Like, they're like, they do not move very well. Ones that are that big, it's so silly. It would not be hard to get away from that thing. Like once it started up and it was going, you just run straight at it and back the other way. It's going to take so long for that thing to turn around and come after you, and by that time you hopefully would be gone. But I mean, I want this guy dead, so I don't really care. But I always just find it funny that they can't outrun these things. But I do love that it lures him and forces him to run right into the pitchfork that the Scarecrow is holding. But that was super cool. Of course, I mean, it's a made-for-TV movie. I'm not expecting a lot of gore. I'm not expecting the kills to be super inventive or anything. You're really in this one for the atmosphere, and I think the atmosphere in this is good most of the time. It just does drag for me. I found it to be a little boring here and there, but other than that, it was a fun watch. It's not something I would run back to. People love this fucking movie, but this definitely makes me want to view other Scarecrow horror movies. I have the damn Scarecrow slasher movies on VHS, like Scarecrow Slayer, and Scarecrow Gone Wild. I have that entire fucking stupid ass series. So those would be fun slasher Sundays. I know this one isn't really a slasher, but it kind of is. And I had already done it, and I thought, people love this one. And I'd be curious, like, when did you first see this? If you are someone who loves this film. And how much of this love for this film do you think is nostalgia, and how much of it is that you think it's actually a great film? No knock. I'm just saying I think that this one definitely has nostalgia attached to it, but the atmosphere is cool. The acting is good. I like the characters for the most part. I mean, I don't like them, but they're well done. But yeah, I mean, it's a pretty simple revenge tale, but for made for TV, yeah, pretty good. But yeah, I don't have a ton to say about this one, but I thought I'd just talk about it. So, what are your favorite scenes? And would you have liked to have seen more Scarecrow? I'd be curious on that one for sure. But yeah, let me know below. Adios.